So, the Holy Ancient One.
Tika Kadisha Tamir Veganas.
The Holy Ancient One is concealed and hidden away.
V'chachma Seila Siti Ma'a.
And concealed supernal wisdom is found.
B'hahugel Galta Mishtakach.
And is not found in that skull.
Vadai Bahai Atika Lo Iskalia Alaresh Chodoi.
Surely in this ancient one, nothing is revealed but the head alone.
Begin the Ihu Resha L'chol Resha.
For it is the head or beginning of all heads.
Chachmasa Ilah the Ihi Resha Beisasim.
The beginning of the supernal or most high wisdom is within it.
The Ikre Mocha Ilah.
And it's called supernal brain.
Mocha Satima. Mocha de Shachich B'Shakit.
I don't understand you. What? My phone number 212-799-5555.
It is called supernal brain, concealed brain, a brain that is tranquil and quiet.
The less Diedale Bar Ihu.
And no one knows except himself.
He'll send it. Thank you.
Okay,
Last.
Wait. Why don't we read? Zev is going to read note 22.
Concealed supernal wisdom is found and is not found. This root of the sphere of chochmah is within the skull of the Holy Ancient One, but it cannot be precisely determined or known. It is identified with the concealed brain.
Okay, great. Going to go on?
Last ration is Galfon.
Yeah, this is good stuff. It's all good. Yeah.
Last ration is Galfon. Do Lago Minda.
3 heads are engraved, one within the other.
Vida La'ela Minda.
And one above the other.
Resha Chada Chachmasa Satima.
One head is concealed wisdom.
The Iskasia Velav Mispatcha.
Covered and not opened.
V'chachmasa Da Satima.
This concealed wisdom.
Resha L'chol Resha. The Shar Chachmas.
Is the head of all heads of all wisdoms.
Resha Ilah Atika Kadisha. Satima de Kol Satima.
Why don't we're going to read note 23. Go ahead, Sam.
Rabbi Shimon begins his description of the 3 heads of the Holy Ancient One from the lowest or innermost one, concealed wisdom, or the concealed brain, the root of chochmah. On the 3 heads, see the following notes, and the following note, Or Yakar, and other places also comment on the image of 3 brains.
Okay, so it's not necessarily in order, of like highest to lowest. It starts with chochmah, but it's not ordinary chochmah. It's called chochmah stima, the concealed wisdom. So we're talking about keter, but within keter, it's the wisdom part of keter. Okay, let's go on now. The supernal head. Go on.
Resha Ilah Atika Kadisha Satima de Kol Satimin. Resha de Kol Resha.
The supernal head is the Holy Ancient One. Concealed of all concealed, the head of all heads.
Resha de Lav Resha.
Head that is not a head.
Below Yada, below Isida, Mada Have Beresha da.
Is unknown and unknowable. What is inside this head?
The lo Istabak Bechachmasa, below Besuchlasana.
Since it can't be to grasp any wisdom or understanding.
Val hai ikre barach lecha el mekomecha.
This is applied, or the verse refers to run or flee to your place. Numbers
V'hachayos ratzo v'shav.
11.
Uh,
Or
I'm
another,
sorry to interrupt, but I'm not able to hear your words, Rabbi.
you're not able to hear?
I hear your voice, but it seems to be blurring out.
Okay, I'll try to make it more clear. I'll speak more directly into the microphone.
I
Thank
think
you so
maybe
much.
if everyone muted, it might help a little. I mean, I could also mute myself, I guess.
Yeah, no, but then you're reading it, so that won't help.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't think I'm.
Yeah.
I think there are non-muted things that are creating some static.
Unmute.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Ted.
Where it says concealed wisdom, I think the word for concealed that Ben read is stima or stuma.
Bima, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like the parsha, the last parsha, right? When Jacob is about to give the blessings, it's a parsha stima, which,
Stima,
right, which is blocked. At least that's the way I've heard it.
Yeah.
Is there any sense,
Yeah.
is that relevant here? Is concealed and blocked? Is there a distinction there that's of any relevance?
It's similar. It's not, one is open and blocked is similar to revealed and concealed. Yeah. One has to do with the way the structure of the parsha is, and one is a mystical thing. So it's different, but there's a similarity from the language. It's the same root. Yeah. Same root, but has slightly different meaning, but it's the same translation. So you're correct. Back to the text itself. Before we were talking about chochmah stima, mocha stima, the most concealed of what we could call wisdom, and now we're going above that. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Abby, thanks. So now we're going to above that, which is more of the part of keter, the part of the crown, that you don't even use the word wisdom, because wisdom has some sense of a type of logic that you can follow from one thing to another, even if it's a lofty wisdom and it's beyond understanding, but it's still wisdom. And once, for example, wisdom comes from a higher world to a lower world, the wisdom that was not understood in the higher world becomes understood in the lower world. Sorry, there's a lot of background noise. New York has become like one party town. So lately people like to party around town, and sorry if I don't know if you guys hear the background. There's music and people yelling and laughing, but whatever. So getting back to this distinction between chochmah stima and the first one of the three is that here we're talking about a level where it's unknowable in that its whole presence is in its kind of hiddenness. Like it can, unlike the wisdom. So I'll give an example. If a sage issues a ruling and doesn't explain the reasons for the ruling, a lot of times when you call a rabbi and you ask a shaila, you ask a question in halacha, they tell you the answer. They don't tell you how they got there. It's not they're not a Rosh Hashiva. Their job is not to give you all of the rationale behind it. Their job is to give you an answer. Honestly, if they had to every time explain everything to you, they'd stop taking your phone calls, because they sometimes have to give you what you want to do, not how they got to the answer. So if you don't have any of the background knowledge that the rabbi has, maybe you have a limited knowledge and you hear this answer and it's like, it's hidden, like the reason for it is beyond you. You don't get it. But let's say you say, you know what, Rabbi, I never asked you to explain it, but this one time I'm having a lot of trouble. It just makes no sense to me. If anything, I studied things that seem to say the opposite of your ruling. Can you please explain it? The rabbi goes and explains things, and you learn wonderful new insights, and then the ruling that initially didn't make sense to you now makes sense. So that's a little bit like the mocha stima, the hidden mind, is like something that's not explained because of either it's not explained because it just wasn't explained, or metaphorically, it's a little bit beyond our understanding, right? But once it somehow can trickle into our consciousness, like the mashal of the posek explaining, like, or God, so to say, let me give you over the Torah in your world so that you understand it. So then there's a relationship between the inner hidden wisdom of chochmah stima and the revealed chochmah. But there's something in keter that it's not just that it wasn't bothered to be explained or it was too difficult to be explained. It's inherently something that is hidden. It's almost like, I hate to use all of the modern day sickness that is out there, but perhaps we have to, because a lot of times, a lot of the Kabbalists explain that the mental illness of a generation, when a whole generation becomes sick in a particular area, it's because they fail to recognize that in its spiritual way, and in its corrupted version, it leads to a mass hysteria, a mass dysfunction on a global level. So one of the mass crazinesses, which is not crazy as being kind, it's really evil, but it starts out as crazy and then it moves to evil, is the level of what we call conspiracy theories. Now, what do I have wrong with conspiracy theories? There's probably some wild conspiracy theories. I'll get to it. Ultimately, the reason why I don't like conspiracy theories is because you can do whatever you want with a conspiracy theory. You could point your finger at anyone you want, because you're saying you don't really know who initiated this thing. So whoever you don't like, an anti-Semite will say the Jews are responsible for anything and everything in the world. Why? Because they sense there's some element of the unknown in something, either because it's actually unknown or because they don't understand it, because they don't have enough scientific knowledge, they don't have enough of understanding of politics or history or an illness. So right away, they're like, create a conspiracy theory, and then they'll point a finger on whoever they want to. That's the illness that turns into evil. But we now have to understand if that's one of the biggest plagues of a sickness, a virus that's infected humanity. We have to understand the tikkun of it. We have to understand why is it able to happen. And the answer is because when somebody very powerful has, and the ultimate power is the Ribono Shel Olam, the ultimate power is God. When God, for example, has the level of keter ilah, of his divine will activated, it's unrecognizable by the time it manifests of how it came to be and why it came to be. It's totally concealed. It's like the story where you have, Rabbi Nachman has the story of the fixer. And in this case, it's not God, it's an evil king. And the evil king set against the fixer getting money for a little feast that will then make him happy, and then will ruin the evil king of sadness dominion over the world through sadness. So every time the fixer figures out a way to make a few dollars to go buy a meal to become happy, the king uses his ministers and his judicial system to make it illegal to do that type of thing, to fix things, whatever it is, right? So if the fixer is a simple person, he doesn't understand where it's coming from. He just knows all of a sudden the Supreme Court made a ruling that they're disbanding the police department or whatever it is, right? He doesn't understand it. He thinks it's coming from something he doesn't understand, but really it is about him. So that's why the perversion of that is the average person thinking, well, I don't understand why this happened. It is about me. Somebody is trying to like hurt me. And who is it? So they misunderstand that really there's something divine that transcends our understanding, that we want to relate to in our inability to connect with it in a mind way, but we want it to blow our mind in a sense. We want to recognize that there's a plan that has nothing to do with our minds. And the world, and that's grander, because that's ultimately about transcending the mind. And we're so into mind that when this thing transcends our mind, we go into conspiracy theories, and then we create a virus of hate instead of understanding that we can't understand. So let's reread this section on the supernal head. Okay, let's go. The supernal head. I'll just read it. You don't have to read it again, Ben, because
Okay.
I'll read it. The supernal head is the holy ancient one, concealed of all concealed, the head of all heads, the head that is not a head. It is unknown and unknowable what is inside this head, since it cannot be grasped by neither wisdom nor understanding. To this it is applied, flee to your place, the living beings darting back and forth. Therefore, the holy ancient one is called ayin, nothingness or nothingness, since ayin depends on it. Okay, go ahead and read note 24, Zev.
The second head of the Holy Ancient One is called by his very name. This corresponds to keter. The highest or most expansive head corresponding to Ein Sof is unknowable, even to the spheros, chochmah, and bina. These are the three heads that can be pictured concentrically as the concealed brain, the encompassing cranium, which is the second head, and the boundless head of Ein Sof. For various interpretations, see a number of sources. The paradoxical name ayin, nothingness, no thingness, alludes to the Holy Ancient One's undifferentiated and incomprehensible nature, no thingness. The concluding clause, since ayin depends upon it, implies that the term ayin pertains to a specific realm within the Holy Ancient One. The verse in Numbers, originally spoken by King Balak to Bilam, now implies that one should flee from inquiring about this head. Compared to the Sefer Yetzirah, where it says, if your mind races, return to the place, or to Hamakom, the omnipresent. On this enigmatic wording, see Hyman on the Sefer Yetzirah. The full verse in Ezekiel describing the angelic beings carrying the divine chariot throne reads, the living beings darting back and forth like a flash of lightning. Here, that flurry of activity alludes to fleeting comprehension. Both verses are also quoted in Zohar. The notion that chochmah and bina cannot comprehend the highest head parallels the statement of the Gnostic gospel of truth, according to which the aeons, which are divine emanations below the intellect, are unaware of hidden divinity. Sefer Yetzirah also says that the spheros look like a flash of lightning.
Yeah. Okay, so we had those three heads.
What is the concept of lightning? Is that like sort of it's bright but it doesn't convey information? It's like something that's enlightening but not
I think it represents partially illumination that you can't contain. Like when I have a flashlight, I can focus the beam. I can read with it. If I have a lamp or a light in my home, I can use it. But a flashlight is like I can see for a moment, but then I can't. So it's somehow there's
So
something
that's-
going on.
Well,
But
it's
Is it like
it,
is it like non-utilitarian illumination? It's like it's not it's not actually.
on one level, because you can't, it's not yours. So one element here, like in practical, it's interesting because in Kabbalah we say there's a relationship between keter and malchut. Keter means what we've been talking about just now, right? Which is the crown, the unknowable part. It's above the head. It's even higher than the concealed wisdom that we just talked about. And then malchut is the lowest of the sfirot. And yet, if in Hebrew, there's this concept of keter, keter melucha, right? We say on the high holidays that we're going to coronate the Holy One, blessed be He, by giving him the crown of his kingship. So the question is, what's the relationship between kingship, the crown, and kingship? And the answer is that as a subject of the crown, meaning the kingship also represents being a subject. Kingship and kingdom and subjects in the kingdom are all kind of united, meaning I am loyal to the king, so I become a subject of the king, and then the king and I, especially when I am doing the will of the king, become connected. But what is it that makes the king? And the answer is the crown. It's not just because he's an extraordinary or she's an extraordinary person. It's much more than that. It's the crown. It's the will of the people. But the will of the people, there's an element of mystery there, which is like something that has illumination but cannot be used to like show exactly what it is, like the flash of light. But there's something there. And this idea of running and Ratza V'Shov is can be explained also in that the will has a tremendous ability to leap, just like another thing is about the flashing of lightning, or the Mara HaBazek, these flashing lights, is the ability of light to travel. I think it's still the thing that we think that we know of that travels the quickest, right? Unless you watch Star Trek. And then there are going to be other ways to speed up light, or maybe you can create a wormhole and get through bend space enough to come out somewhere else. I don't know, but the idea of quickly going like a flash of light represents this idea of going from the top to the bottom, having a relationship between the two, not having that type of relationship. That's what it is. There's a lot of humility involved. Anyway, let's continue. And then, of course, you have the Ein Sof. We refer to the crown. The crown and Ein Sof. The crown is not Ein Sof. The crown is the highest of the 10 sefirot. But here it seems that the third highest level of the crown is which is the iron. Kabbalah explained that at length, how to reconcile that. The other places that talk about keter and not itself. Okay, let's continue.
B'chol inun sare,
All those hair
b'chol inun nimen,
and all those strands
mimocha setimo nafkin.
hang from they extend or come out of the concealed grain.
V'chulu she'iyin b'shikula, below ischazik kedala.
Symmetrically smooth. That's making me feel guilty about not combing my hair. And the nape is not seen.
What is not seen? The who?
The nape, N-A-P-E.
The nape, okay, yeah. Kolahu,
Yeah, all
begin the hayatika kadisha b'chad have,
because this ancient one is unified.
kola b'chedu, v'loshanya mirachme la'omen.
All is in joy, never changing from compassion.
B'slas,
Go ahead and read note 25, please, Seb.
The hairs on the head of the Holy Ancient One are smooth, signifying compassion. They cover the nape of the neck, concealing its quality of judgment. Such constant compassion is characteristic of the Holy Ancient One. See Idra Rabbah for more on that.
Okay, go on.
b'slas
It's found.
asar mechilon derachman ishtakach.
It is found in 13 of these 13 attributes of compassion.
Begin the hay chochmah setima deve,
For this concealed wisdom divides
misperash tlas zimnin la'arba arba,
within it 3 times into 4. So 3 times 4 is 12.
v'hu atika kalulon v'shalat al kola.
He, the Ancient One, contains them, reigning over all. Okay, go ahead and read note 26, Ev, please.
The Holy Ancient One is enhanced by 13 tikkunim. See an above note. These 13 enhancements are associated with the 13 attributes of compassion, which are derived from 2 biblical passages in Exodus and Micah. The more prevalent list of attributes of compassion appears in Exodus, which reads in full, Havaya passed before his face and called out, Havaya, Havaya, a compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger and abounding in kindness and truth, keeping kindness for the 1000th generation, removing iniquity, transgression, and sin. Yet he does not wholly acquit, inflicting guilt of the fathers upon the sons and upon the sons of sons to the 3rd and 4th generations. Rabbi Shimon explains the number 13 as the sum of 3 times 4 divisions of concealed wisdom plus the Holy Ancient One himself. For various interpretations, see a number of commentaries.
Yeah, because this number 13, we're into the sefirot. So there's 10 sefirot, or there's 7, or 7 and 3, or 7, 6, 1 and 3. So what's the 13? In different places, it explains the different elements of the Yud Gimel Midah. Like some places it explains that it's just really the 7 sefirot going up and down. So I know it should equal 14, but one of the sefirot, I guess, let's say Malchut, is only counted once. So here he's dividing it up as 3 that each time had 4 elements to them. Let's back up a little bit and talk a little bit about hair. We know from all the Idrot, both the Idra Rabbah and the Idra Zuta, And the other parallel elements of Zohar that are written in the style of the Idrot, like there's that we're mapping out the divine image, and hair plays a surprisingly large role. Most people see hair as insignificant in that, you want to look bald, just wait a few years, or you could just cut it off. And you want it to grow back, you just let it grow back, and it's insignificant. On the other hand, we have, if a lot of the Zohar is basing itself on a more deeper understanding of the various verses in Leviticus and other places about hair and the priesthood, the Kohanim, the Levites, and the famous duck and orange, the beard of Aaron that descends according to his attributes, meaning the beard becomes the oil of the anointing oil, which represents the saturation of Kedusha, is somehow being accessed through the hair. When I was in Chabad yeshivas many years ago, they explained a few little things about hair to help us understand it. On the one hand, hair, just like I said, you can cut it off. On the other hand, if you pull it, it hurts. That means there's an externality to hair, like nails. But on the other hand, there's a more internal element, because everyone sees your hair of your face, your beard, your hair of your head. And also because most of the hair on the human body is on the head. So in a sense, the hair that comes out of the head represents some element of the head that can't be, it's even above the head on some level, it transcends the head, which in a way fits in with the very root of the concept of keter. So on the one hand, and there's a yanika, there's a in the hair follicle, there's some way that it's taking energy in order to grow, at least from the mind, at least according to Kabbalah, but you're still able to cut it off. So it doesn't have the sensitivity of the body, doesn't have nerve endings the way the rest of us, the limbs that we have are sensitive to pain. The hair doesn't have that. You can cut off the hair and there's no pain. So it represents something coming from one world to the next. It's still tied up on the one hand to the higher world, but there's also a disconnect, like hair, where our hair is connected to us. We can cut it. Once we cut it, it's no longer alive. It's no longer growing, but it is cut. Well, let's continue. Did we finish one path shining? Did we finish the page?
No,
No, we didn't.
Okay, let's continue. One path shining in the middle. Go ahead, Ben.
Chad archa denara bepalgusa desari denafke mimocha,
Issuing from the brain
hu archa denahirun de tzadikaya la'omada ase.
is the path by which the righteous shine in the world that is coming.
Ichsev va'orach tzadikim ka'or noga,
As is written, the path of the righteous will be like a glowing or gleaming light. It's a verse in Proverbs 4:18.
va'al daksiv az tisanag al Hashem,
Oh, this is written, then you will delight upon God.
umehai orcha misnarin kol shar orchin detalyan bezer anpen.
This path shines all other paths that depend on Zer Anpin. Go ahead and read note 27, please, Zev.
In the parting of the hair, see below at note 145 and Zohar and Idra Rabbah, which specifies a total of 613 paths diverging in Zer Anpin. The verse in Isaiah is construed here hyper literally. Then you will delight, I'll above Havaya, that is above Tiferes, who is known as Havaya. In context, the context in Isaiah reads, if you refrain from trampling the Sabbath, from engaging in your affairs on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of Havaya honored, and if you honor it by not giving your own ways, pursuing your affairs, or speaking a word, then you will delight upon or in Havaya. And I will cause you to ride upon the heights of the earth and feed you the inheritance of your father Jacob. For the mouth of Havaya has spoken. The phrase speaking a word may refer to idle, mundane, or excessive talk, discussing business or legal proceedings. On the hyperliteral reading above Havaya, see elsewhere. The full verse in Proverbs reads, the path of the righteous is like gleaming light, shining ever brighter until full day.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, continuing the main text on 776 now.
Hayatika Sava de Savin,
The ancient one is the Sabbath of Seven, eldest of elders.
Kisra Ila Ela,
I guess the texts are slightly different. He also has the origin of origins, supernal crown on high. Okay, keep going.
Imisafter Mekal Itra Mechisimis Naran, Vachol Shar Butsina Mine Mislatin,
Which all crowns and diadems are adorned. Lamps are illuminated, glowing,
Vahu Hu Butsina Ila Tamira Delo Isida.
and he himself is the supernal lamp, hidden, unknown.
Vachol Shar Butsina Mine Mislatin Misnaran. I'm not sure
No
if
other lamps are kindled and illuminated by him. This is a parallel to what we already read a few weeks ago about there being a lot of lamps, but they all go back to the one source lamp of all of them. Go ahead, read note 28, please.
Playing on the philosophical formula Sibat Hasibot, based on Latin causa causarum, cause of causes, the ultimate ground of being. In acknowledgement of this illusion, I have included the title Origin of Origins. The Holy Ancient One is the
This
source
is
of
the
the
Danny
Lebanon.
Mann original. 'Cause
Right.
when I heard Ben reading it and I had Origin of Origins is not in what Ben read, and I see that he's basically taking the liberty and he's explaining why to translate eldest of elders as origin of origins and write them both in. He doesn't feel comfortable taking out the more literal meaning, which is eldest of elders, but he also likes his hidden meaning, so he's actually putting that in the translation, which is interesting. He's explaining why. Is everyone getting this word play here? In Maimonides, and he wasn't the first one to use the phraseology that like there's the source of all sources, and when he talks about in the beginning of his Mishnah Torah, where he describes God as the origin of all origins. So one of those expressions, it's a philosophical expression, is the Siba of the Sibot, the source of all sources. So he's just saying it's a word play between Siba and Saba. Saba is old man or ancient one. So it's like but the truth is, in and of itself, the Zohar is dedicating this section to Atika Kadisha and then Zeir Anpin and so on. So it's not a stretch to read it more literally as well. But that's Danny's note and a translation that he's including, even though he's also putting in the more literal translation. Okay, go on.
Hayatika Ishtakach Bislas Ration, Uchlilan Bechad Resha.
Here. this ancient one exists with three heads, which are comprised in one head. It's just,
That-
like we said earlier, it's like a nest of consciousness, or ranging from the all-encompassing Ein Sof to the middle keter and then the inner chochmah.
The hu reisha ilah la'ela la'ela.
Supernal head is above.
Uvegindak tika kadisha israshem bislas.
Since the holy ancient one is marked by three,
Uf hachi kol sharbutzinon denahar and minei kalilan bislas.
all other shining lamps that illumine or get their light from it are in three. Again, I'm seeing some differences between Danny's translation leaving out something. Before it's putting in, now it's leaving out. Okay, go on and read note 29, Zev.
All included in the highest. This ancient one exists with the three heads all included in the highest. The threefold nature of the holy ancient one is recapitulated in the triadic arrangement of the following spheres: Chochmah, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, and Netzach, Hod, Yesod. On Das, see below.
Okay, great. So it's not a coincidence that there are these like sets of three, because it all starts with these three. Page 777. Furthermore,
Od atika israshem bisrain.
the ancient one is marked and concealed by one. What did he say?
Two.
Yeah. Oh no, you know what? We're reading separate
In the-
things. Let me back it
Yeah, I think we stopped in the middle of a.
up.
Od atika israshem bisrain. Klala da atika bisrain.
Wait. Furthermore, the holy ancient one is marked by two. Entirety of the ancient one by two.
Hu kisra ilah de kol ilahin.
Grounds for all above, head of all heads.
Reisha de kol reisha. Vahu de hava la'ela min da de lo yisida.
And the one above this, who is known. Similarly, all the other concealed lamps are in two.
Demon bisrain. Od atika kadisha israshem ba'astim b'chad.
We're on 777. And then Zev will read both notes 30 and 31 when we get to it. Furthermore, the ancient one is marked and concealed by one.
Vahu chad v'chol hu chad.
He is the one. He is one, and he is all.
Kach kol shar butzinin miskachin and mishadron b'chad ve'inun chad.
All the lamps are linked by another, turning into one. They are one, and that is all. Okay, go ahead. So we got the three, the two, and one. Read notes 30 and 31, please.
Apparently, the holy ancient one is marked by two, apparently referring to Keter and Ein Sof. See above note 18. For various interpretations, see a number of commentaries. On the twofold nature of the holy ancient, nature of the holy ancient one is reflected in the polar opposites right and left, which characterize the Sephirotic structure. The concluding clause can also be rendered, all the other lamps are concealed in twos.
Okay,
Note 31.
this idea of the side of the chesed and the side of the gevurah. Okay, 31.
The ancient holy one is marked and concealed by one. The unity of the holy ancient one is reflected in the unity of the Sephirotic lamps.
This is pretty deep stuff. I'm not going to explain it. It's just deep. Okay.
Is there any connection between these three, sort of the triplicate, a trifecta of exterior, interior, and then another interior to like the inner altar, like the mizbeach of,
Yeah, because
that also had three.
the sphirot are connected to the layout of the Beit HaMikdash or the Mishkan. So yeah. So maybe you could do, the Kohanim, the Leviim, Yisraelim, the different.
That too, yeah.
The different.
But even the gold, the mizbeach hazahav itself had like the inner, I
maybe,
think three parts as well.
and then the one. And the one.
I just wonder what the point is here.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they clearly are spending a great deal of time on this. This is not just a little thing. So what's
Some pretty
behind what it's supposed to be answering? Like, that suggestion just a moment ago that it's trying to do a parallel with a temple that no longer exists, and how that there's a temple above and a temple below and blah. Maybe that's the reason, or what's behind this?
All of the concepts in Zohar all explain one another, so to speak. And this is kind of like some of the physics of the Zohar. Like we're normally saying, oh, look, Shavuos, we're getting married to God. The Shekhinah and the Bina is bringing her son Tiferet to be with the Shekhinah. But this is like explaining what's really happening. What does that mean? Even within the Zohar, which is a book on meaning, the Idrot and Sifra D'Susa are what's really like happening behind everything, behind the scenes. So it's esoteric in an esoteric book. And then, of course, it illuminates everything. Kind of like exactly what he just said. It's 3, it's 2, it's 1, and it's all interlinked. This is all, whatever we're talking about here will help us understand the other parts of it. Okay, let's go on. The forehead that is revealed in
Mitzvah the Iskale Batika Kadisha Ratzon Ikre.
the forehead that's revealed in the Holy Ancient One is called Ratzon, will.
The Haresha Ilah da Sasim La Elah.
For this supernal head concealed on high,
The Lo Isida Pashet Katurna Besima.
unknown, extends one potentate,
Ya the Iskalel B'mitzcha.
mild and beautiful that is included in the forehead.
V'gin the Ihu Rava the Kalravan.
Since it is the will of wills,
Istakan B'mitzcha V'iskalya B'busita. Hai Mitzcha the
within
Ikre
the
Ratzon.
forehead revealed in luster,
Hai Mitzcha Ikre Ratzon. Or Iskalef B'busita. Hai Mitzcha Ikre Ratzon.
when this is revealed, will of wills prevails throughout all the worlds. Go on.
V'kad Ratzon da Iskalya. Rava the Ravan Ishtakach B'chulu Almin. V'chol the Slosin the Lasatan Miskablin.
And all prayers below are accepted.
Umisnaran Anpoid the Zer Anpin. V'chol Barachme Ishtakach.
Face of their ampin is illuminated, and all is compassion. All is in compassion.
V'chol Dinan Istamran V'Iskafyan.
Because all judgment are hidden away and subjugated on Shabbos. Keep going.
B'Shapsa B'Shata the Tzlosa de Mincha.
Go on.
The Hu'idan the Chaldinan Misarin.
Because when all the judgments are aroused,
Iskalya Hai Mitzcha V'Iskafyan Koldinan.
this forehead is revealed and all judgments are subdued. That's why
Vish.
we sing that Lurianic song that reflects this part of the Zohar. And compassion prevails.
V'Ishtakachu Rachman B'Chulu Almin. Uv'gin Kach Ishtakach Shabbos Below Dina.
So Shabbos is without judgment,
Lo La'ela V'Lo Lasata.
above and below, even
V'Afilu Esha de Gehinam Ishtakai Ba'asrei.
place and the wicked have rest. A lot of famous things in this little paragraph that we just read.
V'Neichen Chayavayu V'Aldai Tosef Nishmasa Dechedu B'Shabsa.
Everybody's happy on Shabbos, right? Because even the wicked get to come out of Gehenna. Okay, read notes 32 and 33. Sev.
32, the forehead. Here is manifested the divine ratzon, will or favor, which is pictured as a potentate issuing from the highest of the 3 heads and included in the forehead. Once this potent will is revealed, prayers are accepted, the harshness of Zer Anpin, the short-tempered one, is assuaged, and compassion prevails. The term potentate renders Turuna, Turana, a governor or ruler, which probably derives from Greek tyrannos, absolute ruler, tyrant.
Love
The
it.
word luster, yeah, renders botsina a neologism that apparently refers here to a luster or ray of light playing on bocina, a lamp or spark. Based on the reference to forehead, luster, and ratzon, there may be an allusion here to the tzitz, the medallion or plate, rosette, a gold plate that is worn on the forehead of the high priest over his turban, bearing the inscription Kadosh Lashem, holy to Avaya. A few verses later, in Exodus, the tzitz is associated with the word ratzon, which shall be upon his forehead perpetually, l'ratzon lahem, for their acceptance before Hashem. Cool. And the tzitz like fixes problematic corbans, right?
Yeah, the tzitz basically is like this, whatever went wrong. I mean, according to some, it's just like fixes anything that could have gone wrong, and the offerings are just like it's the override. You know, when you mess something up, you need like an override button at Fairway. It's the override button to whatever you've done that you should have done differently. But again, let's talk about this idea, this concept for a moment of ratzon and the forehead. We know there's a lot of conversations, including about some a person with no shame, that's connected to the forehead. The forehead, usually a regular person hides themselves when they're embarrassed. They don't want to be seen. But there are extraordinary people, call them a tyrant, who they have no shame. So their strength is their revelation, so to speak, of their forehead. It doesn't matter what they've done. But obviously, we're not talking, that would be unholy chutzpah. There's also such a thing as holy chutzpah, when your forehead represents whatever it is that you're dedicated to, that's stronger than anything else. So now he's transitioning from keter to Zeir Anpin. And he continues to do that as he talks about Saturday evening. And I mentioned, make sure to look at it. There's 3 Lurianic prayers that we say on each of the dinner, lunch, and third meal on Shabbos. And the one that we say on Shalashudas says, let all of those dogs and demonic things crawl into their crevices, because the divine light, they can't be out. They're embarrassed to be where the light is. Read note 33, please.
At the time of mincha, the afternoon service. Usually the afternoon and the approach of evening are a time of judgment, but on Shabbos afternoon, the divine forehead is revealed and all harsh powers of judgment are subdued. The association of Shabbos afternoon with ratzon, will, or favor accords with medieval customs of reciting Psalm 69:14 during the Shabbos mincha. As for me, may my prayer to you, O Hashem, come at a time of ratzon. Favor, O God, in your abundant kindness, answer me with your sure deliverance. The tranquility of Shabbos extends even to hell, where the wicked are allowed to rest. According to Bereshis Rabbah, one of the dwellers in hell reports, whoever does not observe Shabbos willingly in your world observes it here against his will. All week long we are punished, and on Shabbos we are granted rest. On the association of the time of mincha with judgment, see above. Okay.
Yeah, by the way, we had Flato, Professor Flato, and she once gave a shiur about different historical elements to or just Torah, I don't know if it's historical per se, but she was tracking attitudes towards the time after Mincha. Because in some times it's considered depressing because legend has it is that Moses died at that time. But to others, it's the highest. Also because Moses died at that time. And and I think it's the Zohar says that what Moses couldn't see in his lifetime, right? It says God said, I can't show you my face because Kilo Yirani Ahadam V'chai. He saw when he died, the day of his death, the time of his death. So paradoxically, the same thing that makes a lot of the nusach, the liturgy, kind of melancholic by Mincha, Ata Echad, the way the Chazan recites it is borders on sadness. Tiferes Gedula, Ateres Yeshua, Yom Menucha, Yaga, Avram Yaga, Yitzchak Rane, and Yaakov Uvanav, Yanuchu Ba, Menucha Samba, Nidava, Menucha Semes Vemuna. It's kind of a little sad. So here it's almost like Zohar just like does the opposite to that time. When I go to certain shuls, it's like it's not Shalashudis or like Mincha is very serious. It's supposed to be serious, but it's a very intense time where this kind of energy is emanating in the world. Okay, therefore, a soul of joy, page 778. And
One second. V'kad Ratzon da Scalia. I think I lost a place here. Are we up to V'kad Ratzon da Scalia, Rabba, the Rabbi Nishkal B'kul Alman, or beyond that?
just beyond that.
Yeah, the rest of it. The Shabsa b'shata that slows to the Mincha. The Idan the Choldin and Misar the Scalia.
Beyond that.
Oh, but next paragraph. Okay. Uboy bar nash lamechte beslas suudase the Shabsa. The hakal mehimenusa.
Okay, you're just ahead of me. Let me catch up to you. Therefore, a soul of joy is added on the Shabbos, and a person should rejoice in 3 Shabbos meals.
The hakal mehimenusa.
For all of faith.
V'chol kolala de mehimnusa be'ishtakach.
Entirety of faith is found in there.
Uboy bar nash lasadra pasora.
A person should organize and eat 3 meals of faith
Ulamechel tlasudase de mehimnusa ulamechdu behu.
and rejoice in them. Let's read the rest of the page. Rabbi Shimon.
Amar Rabbi Shimon, as hadna alai l'chol ilain dahacha.
Rabbi Shimon said, I attest before all those here
Daha min yomai lo betilna ilain shalosh sudase.
that through all my days I have never neglected these 3 meals.
Uveginei hon lo it's terichna l'sanisa b'shabsa.
By virtue of which I have not been compelled to fast on Shabbos. In the times of the Talmud, they would occasionally fast on Shabbos if they had a bad dream.
Va'afilu biyomei achrine lo it's terichna kol shekem b'shabsa.
Even on other days, I haven't had to, much less on Shabbos.
The man dezache behu zechela mehimnusa l'shleimasa.
Whoever attains them attains complete faith.
Chad sudase de matronisa.
One is the meal of Matronisa.
V'chad sudase de malchi kadisha.
One is the meal of the king.
V'chad sudase de atika kadisha.
One is the meal of the holy ancient one, concealed.
Satima de kostimenu. Behu alma yiske behu le'ilain.
In that world, he will attain these. So now we're smack into one of the most beautiful parts of the Zohar that appears in a number of places. That Shabbos isn't just simply one continuum of sanctity or cessation of labor and holy. It's actually a process, and it parallels these 3 levels. And each of the meals has its own association with this Sephirotic particular realm, Matronisa, Malchut, and Atika Kadisha. Let's read notes 34 and 35, Zev, please.
Each person observing the Sabbath is endowed with an additional soul, which enables him to relish all three Shabbos meals. See in the Talmud, in the name of Rabbi Shimon, son of Lakish, on Shabbos Eve, the Blessed Holy One imparts an additional soul to a human being. When Shabbos departs, it is taken from him. The three Shabbos meals on Friday night, Sabbath noon, and Sabbath afternoon are associated with three divine configurations, as explained below, spanning all of the Sephiros, the entire realm of faith. Compared to the rabbinic notion that the observance of Shabbos is the equivalent to fulfilling the entire Torah. On the three Shabbos meals, see a number of places, and on the connection between a person's additional Shabbos soul and his appetite, see Rashi on that Talmud.
Okay, go ahead and read the next note.
Note 35, I've never neglected these three meals. Due to Rabbi Shimon's lifelong devotion to these special meals, he never experienced a bad dream on the night of Shabbos, nor in fact on any night. Consequently, he never had to fast on Shabbos day in order to avert fulfillment of any foreboding dream. See the Talmud on Shabbos. Rava, son of Nechasia, said in the name of Rav Chama, son of Goria, in the name of Rav, fasting is as fine for annulling a dream as fire for tow, short or broken fibers, combed off flax. Rav Chisda said, if it is on the same day. Rav Yosef said, even on Shabbos. One who succeeds in celebrating all three meals will eventually attain the entire divine domain of faith, since each meal is in honor of one of the three Sephirotic configurations, Shechina or Matronita on Friday night, Zer Anpin at Sabbath noon, and the Holy Ancient One on Shabbos afternoon. Whoever rejoices in all three meals, week by week, proves worthy of experiencing the corresponding divine realms in the afterlife. On various correspondences between the meals and the Spheros, see elsewhere in the Zohar. And on Rabbi Shimon's devotion to these meals, also see elsewhere.
Okay, we'll do one more page, then we'll call it.
I wrote some Kadisgalia called Inan Iskafin Mishul Shaleho.
When this will is revealed, all judgments shine and are subjugated by their chains.
Tikuna de Atiga Kadisha Istakan Besikuna Chad.
The enhancement of the Holy Ancient One is arrayed in one arraignment.
Kalala de Kotikunan.
Totality of all enhancements.
Vihi chochmah ilah satima.
The supernal concealed wisdom.
Klala de Kolshar.
Authority of all the rest.
Vahi ikre Eden ilah satima.
All supernal Eden, concealed of all concealed.
Vahu mocha de Atiga Kadisha. Vahi mocha ispeshat l'chal evar.
Expands in every direction.
Minay ispeshat Eden achra. Mahai Eden iskala.
Hewn out of this one.
Go on.
Okay, no, let's stop here. Okay, we have to decide whether we want to continue this. It's kind of a little bit dense, this stuff, no question about it. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to take us off Facebook Live, and then if anybody has any questions, they can